Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Wherever you are on this earth. And this is Musa, Matt Meacham Jr., broadcasting. I know when I first started YouTubing, I was excited about when I got excited. In other words, whenever a certain type of feeling came within me, I want to get to the computer and do a broadcast. And I called it motivation. And the thing is, I am full with motivation at this very moment. I want to talk about my home. I want to talk about my homeland. I want to talk about America. I want to talk about the USA. It's really something. I was born in Alabama. That's the southern part of the U.S. And I was born during the period of segregation. In other words, black people had to go to one school and white people had to go to another school. And then and even if a black man whistled at a white woman, they would lynch him. The white people would lynch him. I grew up during that time. In fact, my father was quite active in some of in the civil rights movement when he was alive. And I do recall my family talking about the Ku Klux Klan when they burned a cross in front of my family's home, but I was only a child. These are just only things that I heard when I was growing up. But I grew up in a period of segregation. And the thing is, what happened was I was able to get a scholarship to Tufts University. And then I began to study in Massachusetts, a city right outside Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, a city called Medford. I studied at Tufts University. And that's where I got my first degree. My degree was in theater arts and philosophy. And from there, I had a play which was produced in Boston. I worked one summer. I worked at one of the best universities in the country. I taught at MIT as a young man, and later I taught at the University of Southern California. And I was a teacher at these universities. And the thing is, I think about the things I reflect on my homeland. Now, I'm going to give you some examples and digest this, and you figure out, tell me what's going on. You think and figure out what is happening here. Okay, I finished with a bachelor's degree at Tufts University, and then from there I taught in the public schools of Boston. Also, I taught in a government program at MIT. So, well, yes, I got married later on. And then my marriage broke up, and then I headed west. I caught the first. I caught the first train going west. In other words, I was headed to California, Hollywood. Now, here's a guy. Watch this. Here's a guy. Okay, who has a bachelor's of arts degree in theater arts and philosophy, who's taught at MIT. Okay, watch this. Who's taught in the public schools in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay. So here I am. I'm in Los Angeles, California. I always have had a thing with education. I always wanted to be in school one way or the other. I just like learning. So what happened was I enrolled in a school called Southwest College in Los Angeles, a junior college. And I wanted to just take some English courses. I'm always I'm always a student. forever. I'm always a student. But anyway, I'm taking a course in English. And when I got in okay, number, I was an English teacher in Boston, Massachusetts. I finished with a BA in theater arts and philosophy. I taught at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the best universities in the US. And I was just taking a course in English at Southwest College in Los Angeles. And the white instructor, I was working just general. The most that I could get from that professor was a C. A C. I said, wait a minute, I'm an AB student at Tufts, and I'm a C student at a junior college in Los Angeles. Okay. Presently, I enrolled in a online um, university here. Now we're talking present day. I enrolled in an online at an online university in US 3 or 4 months ago. Now, I, I'm not necessarily a braggart. I'm not braggart, but I'm only just stating the facts. I have had over 150 books published, and my books you can purchase at Amazon and other places. I have had over 150 books published. Also, I have my articles have been read and used by scholars in different countries. Okay, this we're talking present day. Um, I enrolled at a university, and I have written and published, and they are out there for you to buy over 100 books. And authors, scholars use I get notices that these guys are reading your material. I get notices from the where my publications are published. And I enrolled in the university. I'm not going to call the name of the university, but it's like a university in Virginia, online. And I did papers, and I did a paper, and the only thing that I could get from the only comments that I could get from my professor at the university that was basically this: that I was not qualified to enter a graduate school or do graduate work. Basically, that was basically what he was saying. So I found something quite interesting about the educational system in America. Something's interesting. I thought that was something that was on my mind that I wanted to deal with because it was immediately on my mind. But all of a sudden, my thoughts have been on my homeland, America, USA. I'm an American. I got no problems with that. It's fact. I'm an American. I was born in Alabama. My parents were born. My father's father was a slave in Alabama. So I'm an American. I'm a black American, but I am an American. And just as this guy is a Sudanese, or this guy is an Ethiopian, or this guy is a Frenchman or whatever, same with me. I grew up in the culture of the American culture. So that makes me an American. I'm neither proud nor ashamed. It's just that the fact is that's the facts. And I think that fact is the thing that perhaps put concern in my heart, and concern in my mind about my countrymen. I have to go back to an issue that I raised in a previous broadcast, just a recent one. And it's basically about the condition of America, the condition of the minds, the way we're thinking, what we're doing. And I find it quite interesting that we as Americans are not looking at the reality of the world. We as Americans, black and white, Chinese or whatever, we are not looking at the reality that exists. I have to go back to this man. In my previous broadcast, I always do not like to talk about particular individuals. I would rather talk about situations because I don't want to be responsible for saying the wrong thing about the right person. But so I won't call the name of the individual which I'm getting to talk about. I'm getting ready to talk about now. I'm going to just talk about a situation. Um, I remember not a few decades, just a few years back, that we in America elected a president of the United States of America who was of obviously mixed ethnicity. And part of him was from Africa and the other part was from America. But this president legalized sodomy. And you want to, and the thing is, why did he do that? What was the motivation that made this particular president, of all the issues in the world, my God, of all of the issues in the world, the only issue that he could focus on is the issue of illicit sex of the human species. What was the motivation? What caused this to happen? But this is where we're at today, America. America is in deep trouble. America is in deep, deep trouble. And it's really, why can't they see? Why can't those guys who are actually in charge of America, why can't they see the big trouble that we are in? True, you see black people in positions that they never had before. You see black governors, black senators, black heads of corporations. Yes, you see that in America now. But the rise of immorality is, is quite interesting. We're talking immorality. The immorality, the immorality of sodomy. If you go to America, you go to one state, you may go to a state in America, and the governor is a African American, and you may move on to another state, and the senator in that state is the chief of police is an African American. But let's just hold on. Let's just hold on to that thought. Let's just hold on to that thought. Let's bring it back closer to home, as you say, home. See, now I'm not in America. I'm in Africa. Now let's bring it closer to home. Let's talk about South Africa. South Africa is still controlled by white people, a white minority. And most of the black Africans in South Africa live in shacks and drink dirty water. The majority of the Africans in South Africa are poor. Yet those same white Europeans who rule South Africa are this period, they still rule South Africa. They control the minds of those African people. Why are we talking about South Africa? Why did I start off talking about the U.S. And now I'm talking about South Africa. I think the reason why is because if you can understand the US, you can understand South Africa. Okay, let's go back to the US. Okay. If you go to the US, you see a black sheriff. I mean, especially in the southern part, in Alabama, Mississippi. This part of the US used to be the place, the place where they used to just lynch black boys for whistling at white girls. They would lynch them. That's where I grew up. But now, if you go to Alabama, or if you go to Mississippi, you may go to a town or a city, and the sheriff is a black man. Everywhere that blacks were not allowed to be, they are there now. But what is the price that has to be paid? The price of immorality. The price of immorality. If you agree with the immorality that's being preached by the Western world, that I'll make you a king. Remember the story of Jesus Christ. And the devil said, look, if you fall down and worship me, he showed Jesus. The devil showed Jesus Christ this tremendous, luxurious city. And he said, Jesus Christ, he said, look, if you fall down and worship me, then you can have that city. And the mighty prophet, and the mighty prophet, and the holy prophet, and the greatest theologian of all times. When the devil, when the devil made that offer to Jesus Christ, Jesus said, no, no, I'm a believer of the one God. He is my master. He is all who I worship. And the same with Muhammad. May peace be upon the honorable prophet Muhammad. He said, I am not a slave of man. Only God is my master. This is Miss Saul, Matt Mitchum Jr., signing off in Nairobi, Kenya.